Welcome to Harry's Hook. I am a journalist, big fan of boxing. I've written published articles on it. I also train and spar. I finally got Undisputed the other week. There's some aspects of the game that are great, others that could use improvement, but today, I want to talk about the roster. We got some awesome modern boxers like Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford, Alexander Usyk, and some classic all-timers like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, and Rocky Marciano. But I have 5 phenomenal boxers who were left out and were not in the most recent Fight Night games that would take Undisputed's roster to the next level. Look, I know some fighters are more difficult to work with, or they want an absolute assload of money to be in the game, so really this is essentially a wish list, right? Let's see if you agree. Plus, if you stick around till the end, I've got a bonus bizarro top 5 to add as well. Number 5, Gervonta Davis. Gotta add Tank to the roster. Come on, he'd be so much fun. Technical, skillful, athletic, plus he's a highlight reel knockout machine. Very heavy fists, that left hand is practically a nuke. You can dial the power all the way up. Think about some of these matchups. In the game, at lightweight, you could have Tank versus Bud Crawford, Tank versus Julio Cesar Chavez if you include the DLC, Tank versus Lomachenko, Tank versus Sugar Ray Robinson. We'll see what he does next, but if Tank is not giving us the fights that we really want in real life, we can at least pretend. At number 4, we're going to the ladies' side. Stick with me for a second, I got 2 options for you. Either give me Ann Wolfe or Layla Ali. Take your pick. Both are legends in women's boxing. Ann Wolfe had multiple world titles in different weight classes, and her first-round knockout of Vonda Ward is probably the greatest KO in women's boxing. It's right up there with the best one-punch highlight reel knockouts. And Layla Ali, boxing royalty, retired as an undefeated champion. She's got real name recognition. Add one of them or both of them to the women's roster so they and Clarissa Shields can all duke it out. At number 3, we have the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Artur Beterbiev. The man is 21-0 with 20 knockouts, heaviest hands in the sport. Dial up the power on the left, dial up the power on the right. And to be frank, the light heavyweight division really is one of the most lacking in the game, so if you add Beterbiev, then you can have Beterbiev versus Roy Jones, Beterbiev versus Joe Calzaghe, Beterbiev versus Bivol if you include the DLC, Beterbiev versus Canelo. We'll see if that actually comes to pass one day. He might be a little broken with everyone spamming power shots, but he's a destroyer, and it's fun to play as a destroyer. The light heavyweight division needs work. You get Bivol in DLC, and Beterbiev. Here at number 2, we have the one and only Floyd Mayweather. There's multiple obvious reasons to include him, but for one thing, you can actually make 2 characters out of him. At welterweight, you can have Floyd Money Mayweather, defensive maestro, Philly shell, sharpshooter. Meanwhile, at lightweight, you can have Pretty Boy Floyd, the combination punching offensive whirlwind. And with the roster they have now, you can do Mayweather versus Crawford at both weights with the 2 different Mayweathers. You can do Mayweather versus Lomachenko, Mayweather versus both the Sugar Rays. And if you include my prior suggestions, you can have Pretty Boy Floyd versus Tank. He's been a giant in the sport, an all-time great, and Mayweather. Before I get to number 1, I've got a few honorable mentions, and then after number 1, I've got the Bizarro 5 to add. But also, if you enjoy this content, come on, do me a solid, like the video, hook that thumbs up, and if you want to stay updated on my latest analysis and commentary, subscribe to the channel. Okay, honorable mentions, gonna keep it modern and start with both of the monsters, Naoya Inoue and David Benavidez. Only reason Inoue is an honorable mention is because the bantamweight division in the game really doesn't have anyone good enough to match up against him. Anthony Joshua, of course he'd be fun to add to the game, however they've already got Usyk, Fury, and Wilder, and to me those really are the current must-have heavyweights in a boxing game. Greats like Mike Tyson, Manny Pacquiao, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, etc., they were in the most recent Fight Night games, at least round 4, and so, I'd love to have them, but I'm trying to keep this list fresh. So now, on to my number 1 fighter to add. Whose do I have to get Gennady Golovkin in a boxing game? Seriously. Is he number 1 on my list because I'm a Triple G fan? I'm sure that contributed. He was the reigning monarch of the middleweight division for years, had concussive power, a 23-fight knockout streak that lasted nearly a decade. So you can dial up his power in both hands, as well as that jab modifier had one of the great jabs in middleweight history. He also had arguably the best chin of the era, so dial that up too. Every now and then in the game, when he gets hit a few times, you can have him do that wave in where he invites more punishment. And there's some great matchups in the roster that you can make. such as Golovkin versus Nigel Benn, versus Carl Froch, versus Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Ray Robinson, Golovkin versus Canelo, of course. On his walkout, we can see that signature blue and gold robe, and if they get the clearance to use Seven Nation Army, I'm personally going to lose it. So, developers, publishers, whoever needs to hear it, for the love of boxing, please, add Gennady Golovkin. And that right there is Harry's Hook. If you made it this far, you get the bonus list. Number 5, Ryan Garcia on Osterine. 4, Tommy Fury. 3, John Fury. 2, Jake Paul. Number 1, Charlie Zelenoff. Let me know what you think in the comments. Right.